Citadel is truly a wonderful and magical place, where you get to live until your mid-30s, commit crime, get imprisoned, and then, while in jail, choose your race. Let's look at our options. Khajiit. Hailing from the province of Elsewhere, they are intelligent, quick and agile. They make excellent thieves due to their natural agility and unmatched acrobatic skill. All Khajiit can see in the dark. That's really cool and all, but have you seen this? Have you seen this? You know what that means? You know what Khajiits are? That's right, they are furries. I hate furries, God hates furries, and you should hate them too. Khajiits are disgusting. They stink. Along with Argonians, they only make up 13% of the population, yet commit half the crime. They lick their butts just so they can get the taste of their own cuisine out of their mouth and spit hairballs later. So, as you might have guessed, we won't be playing as a Khajiit. While we are at 13%ers, why not cover Argonians next? This reptilian race, well suited for the treacherous swamps of their homeland, has developed natural immunities to disease and potions. They can breathe underwater and are very good at picking logs. Let me tell you why you shouldn't trust an Argonian under any circumstances. Well, you see, besides them being part of the infamous 13%, they are also walking, talking and thieving nightmares of David Icke, manifested straight from his subconscious mind into the plane of existence known as Mandus. So, if you don't want to unintentionally shapeshift into politician, president, CEO or any famous person you don't want to play as an Argonian, I have a question for you. How do reptiles reproduce? That's right, they reproduce by laying eggs. Their young do not drink milk. So how come Argonian females have breasts if there is no need to feed their children? Well, you see, the race of sentient trees, also known as Hist, creators of Argonians, used genetic engineering to make female Argonians as seductive as possible, so they could fool other races, infiltrate and steal from them while appearing to be living fulfillment of their deepest desires. In other words, female Argonians are in-game equivalents of real-life wood elves, the clanfolk of the western Valenwood forests, also known as Bosmer. Wood elves are nimble and quick, making them good scouts and thieves, and there are no finer archers in all of Tamriel. Their ability to command simple creatures is well known. All of this sounds like Bosmer are just some eco-fascist hot tub streamers and are either about to touch themselves and moan simultaneously, glue themselves to the floor at your workplace only to paint their pants gold and brown at the end, or for horrific crime of eating chicken nuggets, paint you red using their deadly weapons such as little animal rights activist first pint throwing kit or vegan bucket. Both appearances are deceiving. While the part about touching themselves and moaning might be true, when you remember about Bosmer specimen like this and this, Bosmer philosophy actually have some logic and consequence in it. Whenever I ask a real vegan why she keeps eating plants if she loves them so much, and if she's aware that drinking water makes fish homeless, she gets mad at me and we stop talking. But Bosmer came to a logical conclusion that loving plants means they shouldn't eat them. They should eat what eats their beloved plants instead. All of this is said in the Green Pact, and since some Bosmer walk their talk, practices of consuming other humanoids and cannibalism are not unheard of among Bosmer. So, are we going to play Bosmer? Well, you see, although the cannibalism part is convincing, we don't want to be associated with these two in any way, so no. We just talked about the race of manlets, so now let's talk about tallest playable race of Tamriel, the High Elves. Also known as Altmer in their homeland of Somerset Isle, the High Elves are most strongly gifted in arcane arts of all the races. However, they are also somewhat vulnerable to fire, frost and shock. Ah yes, the most narcissistic and snobbish race in all of Tamriel. They believe they are the purest descendants of Old Meris, who in turn were descendants of literal gods, the Hydra. They want to keep their purity so much that they practice eugenics and infanticide. As stated by Eric of Guis, Riemann Cyrodiil's emissary to the Altmer, High Elves consider themselves the only perfect race. They kill 9 out of 10 babies born and believe that breeding outside of pure line is a terrible, unthinkable crime. If all of this doesn't sound based enough, you need to know that High Elves also live in a caste-based society. The royalty, the wise, the craftsmen, the workers and slaves. Purity, eugenics, infanticide, and caste-based society all sound like the perfect option for us. But you see, there is just one thing that makes me unable to play as an Altmer. It's best to play Altmer as a magician, and I have very bad experience with magic. Once upon a time I was on a heroic quest to acquire groceries, and suddenly I was approached by a very mysterious man. He was wearing dark robes and asked me if I want to buy some magic, and because I played Oblivion a lot, I immediately knew that he came from Arcane University. I recognized my opportunity to experience magic in real life, and I took it. I bought a little bit of everything this magic man had to offer, and oh boy, it's been a ride. Healing plant didn't heal me at all, it only made me hungry and lazy. Magical post stamp made me speechless. Everything began to make sense. I had one brilliant idea after another. But then I saw a magical being made out of fractals who reminded me about every single time I have been an asshole to anybody. And then proceeded to show me visions of hell. The magical powder worked a little too well. For a short time it boosted all of my attributes, so I did it again and again. Eventually, I ended up with lowered attributes, depth, and without will to live. Now you know why I really don't want to play as a mage. So it doesn't make any sense for me to play as a high elf. Speaking of elves, we also have an edgy, rebellious and Didra worshipping kind, the Dark Elves. Also known as Dunmer in their homeland of Morrowind, the Dark Elves are noted for their skilled and balanced integration of the sword, the bow and distraction magic. Much like their brighter cousins, some Dunmer also are pretty based, to be honest. If you played Morrowind, you surely remember them calling every foreigner the N-word. In Morrowind, you could either join the Telvanni, who believed might makes right and practiced slavery, the Redoran, who were honorable warriors and patriots, but hated 5G and mobile phones, or the Hlalu, who were merchants willing to sell off their homeland for profit. As you can see, their society isn't as congruent as the Altmer one. Dunmer used to resemble Altmer much more, and were named Golden Elves or the Chimer. The main difference between them was religion, until the three Chimer attained divinity and became new gods of their kind. For changing religion, the entire race was cursed with darker skin by one of their former deities, Azura. So, are we going to play Dunmer? Well, maybe. I haven't decided yet and I like them, so we'll see. Many people forget that orcs are also elves, the people of the Rodgarian and Dragontail mountains. Orcish armorers are prized for their craftsmanship. Orc troops in heavy armor are among the finest in the empire, and are fearsome when using their berserker rage. Why did you leave me? I don't think I need to talk much about them. I want to play as an orc, I really do, but they worship Malakath. Who is Malakath? He is a Daedric prince who used to be god Trinimag, until Boethiah ate and excreted him. What came out was Malakath. So, orcs worship literal pile of shit. I am not playing an orc, period. Between elves and humans we have Bretons who are descendants of both human and elvish blood. Because of this, they are often called Manmer, but I prefer to call them by their real name, Mats. In addition to their quick and perceptive grasp of spellcraft, even the dumbest of Mats can boast a resistance to magical energies. They are particularly skilled at summoning and healing magic. In the homeland of Mats, the High Rock, they have a saying: find a new hill, become a king. That's why you can see thousands of Bretons there, standing on a handful of stones and screaming, "Look, mom and dad, I am the king." So, don't be fooled by what Bethesda tells you. Bretons are not very bright. Their names are based on British and French, so whenever you dare to ask them, why do they put frogs in their tea? Their answer will be like, "Oi, you got a fucking problem with that, Mateo? I like frogs, but I don't eat them, I don't drink tea, and I already told you about my experience with magic, so you surely know by now that we aren't going to play Breton." Despite them not being red themselves nor guarding anything red, our next race is called Redguards, the most naturally talented warriors in Tamriel. In addition to their cultural affinities for many weapons and armor styles, they also have a hardy constitution and a natural resistance to disease and poison. Well, maybe they are a little red. According to Michael Kirkbride, his writings about them were greatly inspired by the Black Panthers. which was Marxist-Leninist and Black Power party active in the US of A between 1966 and 1982. Their original homeland was Yokuda, which they shared with left-handed elves, which they genocided because fuck those left-handed abominations, am I right? I'm not a communist, and I don't hate left-handed freaks, so my moral and political compass forbids me from playing Redguard. Natives of the civilized, cosmopolitan province of Cyrodiil, they have proved to be shrewd diplomats and traders. They are skilled with heavy armor and in the social skills, and tend to favor the warrior classes. Imperials are a very unique and interesting race. The first interesting and unique thing about them is the fact that they are based on the Roman Empire. The second interesting and unique thing about them is, well, you see, Imperials are the most boring, normal and NPC-like race out there. Let me explain why. First of all, the climate of their homeland. They aren't sand people like Redguards, snow people like Nords, or swamp people like Argonians. They are just people, plain and simple, normal and boring. Secondly, their social skills and special abilities are just how normies operate. First, they use the Star of the West ability to wear you down with their blabbering about the current thing and why you should care. Then they use the voice of the Emperor to peer pressure you into thinking, acting and talking like them. They are skilled with heavy armor, perfect for robots. They have proved to be shrewd traders. How cool is that? In the fantasy universe, when other races will cast amazing spells at you, assassinate you from the shadows, or charge at you with brutal strength, Imperials will sell you insurance. If you play as an Imperial, you are of average height, you work in an average job, your life is normal and boring, and you should be forbidden from playing fantasy. Luckily, I am too tall to play as an Imperial and too dumb. Nords, on the other hand, like cold temperatures and are tall, dumb alcoholics. Sorry Danmer, but I am going to play as a Nord.